Recently, I accidentally walked into the neighbor's house on my way home from work, ending up in a situation I had to apologize to my wife for. However, looking back, I think it was a good experience. I work for a nonprofit organization funded by government and various institutional donations. We have our monthly dinner on the last Thursday of every month, which is also when our performance evaluation takes place. Having struggled for months preparing for this evaluation, hearing the evaluators commend our efforts was uplifting. A high evaluation score is beneficial for our organization as it helps us secure more funding. Following the evaluation, our director, along with all the staff, decided to splurge on an expensive meal and karaoke using the funds we had saved. Although this makes me feel guilty towards my wife, it wasn't intentional. Our home is in a duplex apartment where, upon exiting the elevator, you're faced with two doors side by side, ours and our neighbors. That evening, slightly intoxicated and in high spirits, I mistook my neighbor's slightly ajar door for ours, realizing my mistake as soon as I took off my shoes. I attempted to leave when the neighbor's wife, startled, looked at me. I apologized, explaining the mix-up, but she suggested, "Why don't you stay for a chat? My husband is away. I've lived in this apartment for 6 years, having moved here after getting a new apartment allocation as a newlywed. Since then, we've had 2 kids. Our neighbors moved in 4 years ago and are a DINK, dual income, no kids couple, both owning their own businesses. The husband often travels abroad, and on the night I wandered into their house, he was away, and she was enjoying a movie and a beer alone after some cleaning. Having told my wife I'd be late due to the work dinner, I hadn't planned to stay long next door. Yet, the tranquility of their child-free, meticulously clean home, so different from my own cluttered one, was oddly comforting. Despite feeling it was wrong, I found myself relaxing as the neighbor poured me a beer and offered some homemade snacks from her food dehydrator. Out of respect for her hospitality, I intended to enjoy just one beer before heading home. While chatting with my neighbor, she mentioned she was part of the DINK, dual income, no kids lifestyle, but confided that she had actually suffered 2 miscarriages. My spouse and I have never experienced the pain of miscarriage, though we've witnessed others go through it in early pregnancy. She broke down in tears, expressing envy at the sound of children in our home, imagining her own child would be attending daycare by now had they survived. 4 years into their marriage, they were excited about a honeymoon baby, only to find out a month after taking snowman-shaped ultrasound photo that the baby's heart had stopped beating. She regretted being too caught up in work to notice something might be wrong with her pregnancy, and was inconsolable upon waking up from the surgery needed after the loss. Despite our occasional complaints about the lack of rest due to our kids, I felt guilty, realizing the neighbor envied our family life. We tried to comfort her, saying she was still young and could try for a baby again, but she revealed something shocking. Her husband, who frequently travels abroad, was seen at the airport with a younger woman, arm in arm, laughing together. A friend had sent her a blurry photo, but she recognized his clothes and luggage. She had been making efforts to conceive, attending doctor's appointments in line with her fertile periods, while her husband made excuses not to cooperate. Seeing the photo left her devastated and unable to focus, and she began to resent her husband. When she confronted him, he promised to discuss it. Upon his return, looking guilty, feeling sympathy for her, I sobered up from the day's drinking, promising to help if needed, and we exchanged contact information. Back home, I found myself unable to sleep, reflecting on how my wife, once slender and attractive, had become unrecognizable in the throes of motherhood and child-rearing. It was a harsh truth that her allure had diminished in my eyes. I knew I shouldn't be doing this, but I found myself comparing my life to the woman next door. A few days later, just before my workday was about to end, she reached out. She asked if I'd like to have dinner with her that evening. Truth be told, I had been looking for any excuse to contact her. I was thrilled when she reached out first, as I couldn't come up with anything to say on my own. We made quick plans, and I met up with her. She looked more worn than the last time I saw her, and suggested we skip dinner and head straight to a bar instead. It seemed she was feeling suffocated enough to reach out to me, so I decided to just listen to her. She told me her husband had returned from a business trip, showering her with gifts and affection. However, when she confronted him with a photo sent by a friend, he denied everything. He accused her of doubting him and had left home without a word for 2 days. She cried her heart out, saying if she was in the clear, why would she leave? I couldn't say anything, just waited silently. She shared stories about their relationship, how they met, and her struggles with paying off the mortgage by running a busy business. Eventually, she seemed to calm down, laughing sheepishly about her tears, looking so beautiful in the process. Without realizing it, I told her I wanted to be with her that night. We ended up sharing a deep secret. When she asked if she was now just like everyone else, I told her not to think about it and comforted her. My wife later questioned me, asking if I had been out drinking again, why I didn't answer my phone, and what time I got home. Despite knowing it was wrong, I was confused by my actions that night. I regretted opening up so much about my personal life, feeling a mix of guilt and pity. A few days later, it seemed the woman's husband had returned. I saw her with her husband, waiting for the elevator, looking happy and secure on his arm. Seeing them together brought me relief, thinking there would be no more contact from her. My wife asked me why I suddenly sighed, but I had no answer. Months later, I saw the woman next door, noticeably pregnant. She told me the baby was safe after a risky period, and seeing her smile made me feel at ease. And so, the secret with the woman next door remained buried deep within me.